Hi there, my name is Alexia Ravaya, and I'm here to share my undergraduate creative thesis on redesigning secure school entry thresholds to create inclusive and welcoming environments. My thesis advisor, Todd Ferry, is from Portland State University's School of Architecture and has been an amazing mentor to me throughout this journey. I'll start this presentation with an introduction to schools and the critical measures they're implementing for safety and security. While schools have long been central amenities to communities, recent years have seen an unfortunate shift towards hardening measures to address safety and security concerns, resulting in environments that just feel cold, uninviting, and unwelcoming. Architects are now tasked with rethinking security measures with more indirect designs that prioritize a more welcoming feeling alongside the security measures. Now let's look at some examples of some hardened measures. To the left, you can see that some schools implement things like gated entryways and fortified doors. And on the right, you can see that some schools even use metal detectors. Schools have been resorting to things like patrolling officers and unfortunately student profiling strategies as well. All of this can feel super imposing and isolating, but we can't convert our schools into prisons. So how can we maintain safety without sacrificing warmth and inclusivity? Architects need to iterate way further on concepts for safety and security methods, which is what leads me to my thesis question. How can schools better utilize entry point thresholds to set up expectations of an inclusive and welcoming environment while balancing the needs for contemporary safety protocols? In my research, I focused on three main entry threshold areas: pathways, canopies, and vestibules. But before we dive deeper, let's clarify some architectural terminology. I mention the concept of thresholds often. Thresholds are spatial conditions and moments that create openings in spatial boundaries, allowing for movement and transition in and through spaces. And they can be hard, like doors and walls, or soft, more subtle and gradual transitions. In my preliminary research, I have found some general existing practices that architects take to approach safety and security. Firstly, architects move beyond conventional building codes and integrate best practices. This means that designers are discreetly and indirectly integrating security measures through soft security tactics and layering approaches that layer, balance, and intertwine good aesthetic design with security interventions. They also prioritize human comfort and well-being, which is done through context specificity and place-based design. Now let's explore some case studies that exemplify these best practices. First up is Lake Stevens Early Learning Center, an elementary school located in Lake Stevens, Washington. The concept of this project is just strongly rooted within the nature that surrounds the site and also the flow of growth and progression in education. So as you can see here in blue, the flow of knowledge is a pathway on the exterior designed to flow through the site and the multiple buildings on there, mimicking and representing the natural meandering of people through nature, but also in their journey in education. It's represented physically in the path through two contrasting materials. Meandering, curving edges bring softness to the design and allow for a human-to-building connection, enhancing the sense of welcoming and belonging. And then also, the Early Learning Center campus implemented a super neat vestibule experience for children with the doors scaled to their heights. That experience demonstrates inclusivity, consideration, and welcoming of the users to the space. Third case study takes place in Missouri called North Kansas Early Education Center. The entry is just simple, recognizable, and playful, which resonates with children. And it's encouraged with butterfly symbols and a recognizable hive right outside the vestibule doors. And one thing I really want to mention that I really liked about this school is that the curbless entry width into the main courtyard also provides the ability for bodies of all abilities to experience entry through the same series of thresholds, creating a sense of inclusion and belonging. And finally, last but not least, I will be talking about the new Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. After the devastating incident in December of 2012, the community decided to demolish the old school and erect a new building on the same property. And so the architecture firm designing the school really partnered with the community in designing just how it looks and feels, and overall they came up with a design that turns away from that bunker mentality and instead prioritizes that anti-institutional, multi-layered security design. The overall design deters threats while fostering a sense of safety and familiarity for the community. And in the exterior, you can see that in this image just how the design was created to be all about deterrence and buying time. The architects created just enough grade changes so that someone can't just walk up to the windows and be unnoticed, and it also doesn't allow for any people to be straight on to create any desk attacks through the window. The stormwater landscape berming was used to achieve all of this, of which also offsets the entry and the classrooms from the main road and path. It can also collect water up to a foot to deter any perpetrators. And then that footbridge that you see under the canopy also only goes straight into the security checkpoint, which would set eyes on any perpetrator. So after observing all of these case studies, the most key design strategies were derived. The first strategy is natural surveillance. Natural surveillance can be achieved and designed by strategically locating windows, entrances, and then activities outside towards the spaces to maximize observation and discourage any unwanted activity. The second strategy is landscaping and biophilia. School designers should integrate landscaping for secure natural access control without the sacrifice for aesthetics, and these natural elements can create soft barriers to reduce stress while also guiding pedestrian flows. And then biophilic design is something that mimics patterns found in nature, so referencing biophilic design in landscaping overall just reduces stress and enhances that welcoming atmosphere. Thirdly, accessibility and universal design strategies should be used to prioritize accessibility for all individuals of all abilities to foster that welcoming and inclusive environment. So going beyond minimum building requirements and code through best practices demonstrates that commitment to inclusivity. And then the image to the right has a wide and even graded entry that allows everyone to go through the same entry experience. And lastly, our art and design interventions. Art allows students and visitors to connect with the building and feel represented. So ownership of the space is created by that, and it contributes to safety. And after completing all of this research, I then illustrated these strategies into action. I've developed a series of schematic diagrams for 2 school entries in Oregon City. Both schools were projects worked on by BRIC Architecture, which is a firm based in Portland, Oregon. The following aspirational proposals I made are ambitious design adjustments. So this is Gaffney Lane Elementary School, and it was a safety and security retrofit project done by BRIC, where they just secured the main entry with the welcoming new canopy and vestibule. And after analyzing the pathway, canopy, and vestibule, I came up with the following diagrams. In the diagrams, red just means there needs to be some improvement made, and blue means that the design is safe and welcoming. As you can see in red here, the main entry pathway features a continuous curb with an ADA slope that falls short of comfortable access by large numbers of people. While the pathway incorporates soft rounded landscaping in it, the dense shrubs obstruct windows and create hiding spots here as well. So I propose replacing these dense shrubs with low-lying aromatic vegetation, widening the ADA slope, and integrating a unique pathway design similar to that of Lake Stevens Elementary School. In the vestibule, while natural surveillance is abundant here, excessive transparency can actually discomfort visitors upon entry. So to address this, I suggest balancing window transparency with graphic art, representing the community or any kind of school themes, which softens that direct eye surveillance on visitors. Placing interactive tackboard panels here can allow the community, students, and staff to choose how to represent themselves at the entry point and also have a platform for regular updates and representation. And this rendering just depicts that proposed change in a more realistic manner. Lastly, let's take a look at Gardner Middle School, which is a brand new building constructed by BRIC. And as you can see here, the landscaping features berm-like integrations and numerous seating options. However, there are opportunities to further enhance safety and welcoming. While the courtyard effectively maintains a level entry grade from the road, that direct placement of all of those security bollard columns, they can inadvertently evoke feelings of insecurity. Additionally, a large opaque wall under that canopy and near the main doors limits natural surveillance into that courtyard space. The indirect planters and soft berms, however, act as great opportunities for indirect car barriers for more security. So to address these issues, I propose removing those bollards and then extending that berm further into the courtyard, pulling the seated planters closer in, and narrowing that courtyard width before the doors to deter vehicle access. I also propose to add windows to the opaque wall for more natural surveillance. And then here is a preliminary rendering showcasing the proposed changes that I made to the school. In conclusion, while security interventions offer a framework and a foundation, it's up to architects to further craft the narrative and enrich the human experience by transcending conventional design approaches. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.